There's a misconception that we don't exist, that somehow our ability to excel at the highest level of our industry is limited, that overcoming barriers as a woman of color would be insurmountable. But what would happen if we decided to venture out on our own despite everything we're up against? I'll tell you. Welcome to the Black Girls Consult 2 podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Angelina Davis, a healthcare consultant, consulting coach, high performance fanatic, wife, and proud girl mom. I help transform female professionals into thriving solo consultants. And just like you, I'm wearing all the hats and doing all the things. So this podcast is to empower the busy female professionals to move past fear to start and grow a successful consulting business, despite the obstacles you may encounter. We'll dive deep into consulting practice, business strategy, mindset, and more. So grab your cup of coffee or tea if that's your thing, and let's get started. Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Black Girls Consult 2 podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Angelina Davis, and if you are just joining us for the first time, welcome. And if you are tuning in for another episode, I think you're going to like this one because today I wanted to talk about this whole concept of communicating your value. And the reason why I feel like this is so important is because communicating value is a huge problem. I definitely know starting out, but it definitely comes up from time to time when we are having new services that we're trying to put out into the marketplace, or maybe we're just having difficulty communicating our ideas or our value to a client that we have never really worked with before. Definitely the process of communicating value can be a challenge, but do you know why that is? It's really because you can only determine value for yourself. And I think that's what we always forget. We forget that in order for us to communicate value effectively, we need to become magical mind readers in order to understand what is truly valuable to the people that we want to serve. Now, I say that lightly. Of course, in a literal sense, you don't need to have magic and become a mind reader. But I do want to talk about what we need to master in order to effectively communicate our value. And there is something I think that is very helpful for us to understand so that we're able to do this effectively. So first, let's start by getting on the same page about this whole concept of what value means. I want to take this definition from the Harvard Business Review, and I think this is a great resource because we can probably all agree that it does present a certain standard for our industry. So in this article by James Anderson and James Norris, the article is titled Business Marketing, Understanding What Customers Value. They actually define value in business markets as the worth in monetary terms of the technical, economic, service, and social benefits a customer company receives in exchange for the price it pays for a market offering. So what does that teach us? Number one, it teaches us that we typically express value in monetary terms. That's always something good for us to remember. The second is that it speaks to benefits as any cost someone incurs in obtaining the desired overall benefit of the service. And so when you think about value, they're really defining value as what a customer gets in exchange for the price that they pay. So there is a true value for every offer. But what people buy into and what people make decisions by is actually their perceived value. And their perceived value is different. It's different from the true value. The perceived value actually represents what people feel is a product or service worth. What is it worth to them? And it is this perceived value that actually drives decision making. This is why we have to focus on really shaping and trying to influence their perceived value. And when we find ourselves unable to close sales successfully, or maybe have people express interest in the services that we offer, it is highly likely that we haven't been able to communicate our value in a way that they understand, in a way that resonates with them and that will drive them to take action. So I give this example because this is one that I think has helped to drive the point home very recently. But I was out purchasing a laptop with my husband, and we were trying to figure out what I needed to buy in our local, retail store. And the sales clerk actually came up and began to run through all of the specifications for the laptop that we were interested in possibly buying. And as he began to communicate and talk about what was in the description on the little sticker, a little sticker that goes next to the laptop that kind of runs through all the things such as CPU and RAM and all of that, he began to comb through what that sticker said, item by item, line by line. And I will tell you, the minute that he started talking, my eyes completely glazed over. I had no idea what in the world he was talking about. And my husband is good with that stuff. So, he was able to help out. I'm not. I'm definitely not an IT person on that level. I do like working with systems. I like a lot of, the computer stuff that I can understand as just a general lay person, but I'm not very technical like that. So I let him listen in and figure out what I needed to know. I really didn't care that much about that kind of stuff. I just wanted to know how it was going to help me and what made that particular laptop so special. So when my husband could turn to me after they had their conversation and say that, hey, babe, this was going to help you download data faster, or it's going to allow me to store more videos and more images, I was all in. So that's why I want us to dive deeper into ways in which we can begin to effectively communicate the value of our services to others, because we don't want to have them be like I was in the store with our eyes glazed over, just trying to understand what we're saying because it sounds like a foreign language. We want to communicate in a way that is really going to resonate with them deeply so that they can understand the services that we provide, the value of the services that we provide, and decide to move forward and collaborate with us. So I want to share 3 different, focus areas that have been very, very helpful for me. And I think when we walk through these, you'll kind of find ways to utilize them to your advantage to begin to communicate, hopefully more effectively, so that you can really express the value of the services that you provide and land more clients and gain more leads. So you know that business growth and financial stability require one thing, and that's clients. So that means gaining more clients has to be top priority in your business if you want to survive without being in a constant feast and famine mode. That's just not sexy. So those other successful consultants you see on LinkedIn or Instagram making it look so easy, it's like they have some secret sauce or luck for endless clients or referrals. But honestly, all thriving practices are built on solid processes, showing up authentically in your marketing and positioning your expertise effectively. In other words, there is a consulting code that you can learn, plug into your business, and then modify so it leads you toward your ideal business and your ideal lifestyle. So if you want to know more and have the secret to crack this code, just visit my description and download the free foolproof checklist to grow your consulting business to 6 figures and beyond. Because when you crack the code, you'll be able to generate leads and increase profits with more ease. All right, so one of the first things that we have to understand and really grasp as a concept is the fact that perceived value is based upon the other person's perspective. So it is an aspect of perception. So what that means is that you have to understand what value means from their perspective, from your potential client's perspective. This is where market research becomes so critical. It really is so critical to understand how certain types of customers or clients are going to respond to certain messages. And I'll be honest that often what I found working with clients is that market research is what they dread. No one likes to do the market research because it can be tedious. It can be time consuming. It can be something that definitely requires a lot of investment of energy and time, and it seems as if you're not making much progress. However, this is what so much of your growth and your success in business is going to hang on, the market research that you're able to do. And so the quality of your market research is going to play directly into your ability to effectively speak to the needs and the concerns and the wants and desires that your ideal client may have. So market research becomes something that is extremely critical. And when you're thinking about this whole aspect of market research, you don't want to remain at a very superficial level. You want to dive a lot deeper to really understand why they feel the way that they do, because it is going to be those inner desires that you can tap into that will allow you to communicate that value most effectively. So don't limit yourself to just what you can see from afar, but really working with people closely, really diving into whether there's opportunities to interview individuals or to have focus groups or to do a more in-depth survey, or just really recording things such as maybe your conversations that you have at various meetings or even sales calls. All those things will help you to gain more insight in their own words with regards to how they view the desires and the wants and the needs that they have currently in their lives and in their business. And that will help you to communicate a message that really speaks to value from their perspective, because it is going to be their perception of value that is going to allow you to make the sale. That is what's going to drive their decision to work with you. So one of the first things that we want to do is understand what value means to them. Okay, so the next thing that we want to focus in on is how we are going to uniquely meet their needs. In order for you to successfully really influence the perception of value, the one thing that you have to do is that you have to make sure that the service that you're providing is standing out from the crowd. You want them to look at your service and compare it to other competitors within your market and see it as something different. Because if they see it as something that is the same or extremely similar, then it loses some aspect of value through their eyes, through their lens, because they feel like they can get it anywhere. So when we're thinking about our service offer and what we are providing, we need to focus on what makes us different. The one thing that your potential clients or ideal clients do not need is more of the same. You have to remember that if they are looking to work with you, if they're looking to secure your services and start a collaboration, they likely have been down the road before. They've likely tried other things before. They likely have looked for other solutions before. And so if they hear something that sounds very, very similar to something that they tried before and didn't work out, or something that they heard somebody speak about that was not good or was not helpful, then it's going to be very hard for you to convince them that somehow your services are valuable. You have to think about how you are showing up in a different way. How are your services providing a solution that others have not been able to provide thus far? Those are the things that you need to communicate. Those are the things that your ideal client needs to hear, because that will help them see your services as being that valuable buy or purchase that they have been longing for. It really is a matter of you describing how you're different and being willing to stand out and to stand out more clearly. What people are looking for, especially when it comes to expert services, is not just a textbook solution. They can look that up. They can get that off of Google. They can research that and find out. What they're actually looking for is to get your insight, your unique perspective on how they should manage a particular situation. And so that is something that you're going to really craft and mold using not just your knowledge, but also your lived experience, and really pour into your unique perspective so that you're able to give them insight that nobody else has. That's the benefit. That's the solution that you're selling. And that is different. That should never be like your competition. And so you want to find ways to really communicate that effectively and share that over and over again so that they can see the immense value in it. And what you'll find is that the more you're able to communicate these differences, the more that you're able to show them how you are able to approach their problem in a unique way, in a way that is going to help them either achieve their goal faster or to do it at a lower cost or to be able to do that most effectively and most efficiently. Those are the things that are going to elevate the value of your services in their mind. So focus heavily on what makes you unique, what makes you different, and communicate that. Find every way possible that you can communicate that difference, because that is going to be key in you really driving home the value and the perception of value that you need in order to get them to move forward. Okay, now the third thing that I wanted to share is that you have to really communicate hope. You have to give your ideal client something to aspire to. It's not enough to just talk about why you're different or to even be able to speak to their needs, but you want to really be able to tap into how you provide a solution for what they want. And a want is a little bit different because the want is usually something that is tied to an aspiration or a goal that they may have. And so you want to be able to speak to what's possible once they achieve their goal. And this messaging is more aspirational. It is coming from a place where you are sharing with them how the services you provide will take them to a place in the future or to a solution in the future that will allow them to really have the life or the business of their dreams. That's really a lot of what really allows us to decide to make the purchase and to move ahead with the service providers that we want to contract with. This particular strategy is really playing off of the fact that most purchases, especially purchases that are definitely made in the business to consumer space, but in its own way in the business to business space, are made at an emotional level. And so that means that tying your services and the things that you offer to the fact that you can really tap into their emotions, that is going to be key in you being able to communicate value for the services that you provide. And this is essential in most cases when you're selling some level of a transformation, because a transformation, let's be honest, is an aspiration. If I'm looking to lose weight, I have in my mind this goal of being a smaller size or fitting into a particular dress. And that is my goal. That's my aspiration. And so when I'm looking for a solution in the marketplace, I'm looking for something that's going to help me get into that dress. I'm looking for something that is going to help me get to a certain weight goal. I'm looking for something that is going to help me get to this transformation that I see in my head, that is something that I feel currently is not attainable by myself or alone. I need the help and the guidance and the advice of someone to get me there. And that person typically is carrying a message that is more aspirational so that they're able to show me how the services they provide not only solve a problem, they're not going to, try and sell the difficult aspects of getting to that solution, but what they're actually selling and communicating is what it looks like when I get there. And that's the key, is that when you are talking about the value that your services provide, you need to speak from a place in the future. Talk about what it's going to be like once they achieve the goal that they want to achieve. Talk about what it's going to be like once their business gets to the point that they want it to be at. Talk about what it's going to be like once they have evolved as a person in general, once they have worked with you. It's that transformation that is so valuable. And so when you can tap into that by really speaking to this aspirational component, by really sharing what's possible once they achieve their goal, then you'll be well on your way to really communicating your value most effectively. Okay, let's quickly recap. There are 3 things that I want you to focus on when you are trying to communicate your value. The first is that I want you to understand what value means from your ideal client's perspective. So understand from their perspective. The second is that I want you to focus on how you are different. How are you going to uniquely meet their needs? And then lastly, share what's possible once they achieve their goal. Don't hold it all in. Share all the good stuff. Make sure that they understand that by working with you, you're going to take them to a good place. You're going to leave them better than they were when you first started. And I promise if you focus on these 3 things, then you will be on your way to really communicating your value more effectively to draw in and attract the clients that you want to serve. And that is all that we're trying to do when we think about lead generation in sales. It really is largely speaking to this aspect of value in the services that we offer. So I hope that you enjoyed this episode. I hope it's helpful. You have to definitely let me know, either DM me on Instagram or LinkedIn, and let me know if you enjoyed this episode, if there is or any questions that you have with regards to communicating your value. And definitely, if you enjoyed this episode, share it with a friend, and then also leave your review on Apple Podcasts or either your ranking on Spotify. I would definitely appreciate it because it will help us get this message out to more and more people. But until next time, I hope you join me again soon, and I will talk to you then. Take care. Thank you for tuning in to the Black Girls Consult 2 podcast. If you enjoyed today's episode, be sure to leave your review on Apple Podcasts, subscribe, and share it with a friend. We're on a mission to increase the success and longevity of women in consulting, and you can help us do that. Also, I'd love to hear from you, so let's connect at Dr. Angelina Davis on Instagram or LinkedIn. And don't forget to visit excelatconsulting.com for more information to support your consulting journey. Until next time, take care.